Martell Holt has officially lost his cool, and this time, it's not just another argument for reality TV. When Martell snapped on Nell, calling her actions a slap in my face, fans immediately sensed something deeper was boiling beneath the surface. What really pushed Martell to the edge? Was it betrayal, jealousy, or something far more personal? Because when Martell gets angry, it's never just about one thing. And trust me, this explosive moment on love and marriage, Huntsville changes everything for everyone involved. Few reality stars can stir conversation like Martell Holt. Known for his charm, confidence, and short fuse, Martell has built a reputation for speaking his mind, no matter the cost. But this latest blow-up involving Nell has fans wondering if he's finally reached his breaking point. What began as a simple misunderstanding quickly spiraled into a full-blown confrontation that left viewers stunned. When Martell looked Nell in the eye and said her move was a slap in my face, his tone said it all. This wasn't for the cameras. It was personal. The question is, what really happened behind the scenes that made him feel so betrayed? Tonight, we're diving deep into what triggered Martell's explosive outburst, what led up to it, why it hit so hard, and how it's shaking up the entire cast dynamic. Because this isn't just about one argument. It's about pride, loyalty, and the fragile line between friendship and betrayal. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why fans say this moment could permanently change how everyone sees Martell Holt. Before we unpack the confrontation, we have to rewind. The tension between Martell and Nell had been building for weeks. What we saw on camera was the explosion, but behind that was a storm quietly brewing. Martell, never one to hold back, has always taken loyalty seriously. After everything he's endured, from his public scandals to a painful divorce from Melody, he's been trying to rebuild both his image and his relationships. He's been walking a fine line between redemption and relapse, between proving he's grown and slipping back into old habits. When Nell made a move that Martell saw as betrayal, it hit a nerve. To outsiders, it might have looked like a small disagreement, but to Martell, it was about principle. He expected unity, especially from those closest to him. Nell, often the group's peacemaker, made a decision that Martell felt crossed that line. Sources say it all unfolded during a group outing meant to ease tensions among cast members. Instead, it exposed deeper fractures. For Martell, already under pressure and fighting to control his image, Nell's choice wasn't just disappointing. It felt like another reminder that loyalty is rare, even among friends, in love and marriage. Huntsville, emotions always run high, but this time, it feels different. Martell's reaction wasn't just about drama. It was about hurt, pride, and the scars of past betrayal. And now, with this blow-up rippling through the cast, one thing's clear. The fallout from Martell versus Nell is only just beginning. When Martell Holt finally snapped on Nell, it wasn't just another moment of reality TV chaos. It was personal, deeply personal. And the way he said it, the look in his eyes, and the silence that followed told viewers this wasn't for show. It was real, raw, and decades of pride, pain, and betrayal boiling over all at once. In Martell's eyes, it wasn't just what Nell did, it was how she did it and who she did it with. For a man already battling the ghosts of his past, the whole situation felt like déjà vu. Fans watching Love and Marriage, Huntsville could feel the tension instantly. Some believed this was just Martell being Martell, quick to anger and hypersensitive. But others saw something different. A man who's been burned too many times and finally reached his breaking point. The speculation started almost immediately online. Viewers flooded social media with divided opinions. On one side, supporters said Martell's reaction made sense. After all, how many times can a man rebuild his trust only to have it shattered again? They argued he wasn't being petty, he was being protective of his peace. On the other side, critics claimed he was projecting his insecurities, punishing Nell for the mistakes of people who came before her. But no matter which side fans were on, one thing was clear. Something in Martell cracked that night. The moment Nell crossed that invisible line, intentional or not, something inside him shifted. To truly understand the explosion, you have to understand the man behind it. Martell Holt's relationship with loyalty has always been complicated. Those close to him describe him as passionate, loyal, and deeply protective of those he loves. But that same intensity often turns against him. When he feels disrespected, it isn't just a disagreement, it's war. His friends have said it time and again. Martell gives loyalty like it's currency, and he expects it back in equal measure. When that loyalty wavers even slightly, he takes it as an attack. And once that trust is broken, he doesn't just stew in silence. He confronts it loudly and directly, no matter who's watching. That's exactly what happened when Nell did something that, in his mind, disrespected him publicly. He wasn't about to swallow it and move on. By the time the cameras started rolling, the emotional energy was already sky high. His body language told the story before he said a single word: tense shoulders, clenched jaw, and eyes that burned with frustration. The cast members around them felt it immediately. The air grew heavy, like the quiet before a thunderstorm. What was supposed to be a calm, friendly conversation quickly transformed into a charged face-off no one saw coming. But here's where things get deeper. This confrontation wasn't just about Nell. It was about years of built-up emotion, unhealed wounds, and Martell's ongoing struggle to be understood. On the surface, it looked like a man lashing out over a single moment. But underneath, it was a man drowning in past pain, haunted by old betrayals, trying to prove he's not the villain everyone says he is. For weeks, tension had been bubbling beneath the surface. Quiet comments, subtle distance, and misunderstood actions built a wall of resentment. By the time Martell and Nell came face to face, the smallest spark was enough to ignite a firestorm. The cameras were rolling. The cast was gathered. And even though no one said it out loud, they all knew something was about to go down. Martell's calm before the storm energy filled the room like static. His tone was low, controlled, but deadly serious. Nell, as usual, tried to diffuse the situation with grace. She kept her voice soft, her posture open, trying to smooth things over before it escalated. But the more she tried to explain, the more it sounded like excuses to Martell. And when Martell feels cornered, explanations sound like betrayal wrapped in politeness. Then it happened. He leaned in slightly, his jaw tight, eyes locked on hers, and said the words that instantly froze the entire room. "That right there, Nell. That's a slap in my face." The words hit like a thunderclap. Not just for Nell, but for everyone watching. It wasn't just an accusation. It was a wound spoken out loud. You could feel the weight behind it. Martell wasn't performing for reality TV. He was speaking as a man who felt betrayed by someone he trusted. Nell's eyes widened, her expression a mix of disbelief and pain. "A slap in your face?" she repeated softly, trying to make sense of it, but Martell didn't hesitate. His tone sharpened, his frustration finally spilling out after weeks of silence. "You don't understand what that did to me," he said, his voice trembling between anger and hurt. "After everything I've been through, after everything I'm trying to rebuild, you went and did that." For Martell, this wasn't just about the incident itself. It was about everything it represented. Years of being judged, misunderstood, criticized, and constantly painted as the bad guy. Every time he tried to move forward, something pulled him back. And now, someone he thought was on his side had, intentionally or not, reminded him how fragile trust really is. You could feel the room holding its breath. Even fans watching at home later said they felt the tension through their screens. Social media immediately lit up with reactions, some saying Martell was right to stand his ground, others calling him dramatic and defensive. But everyone agreed on one thing. This was one of the rawest moments in love and marriage. Huntsville history. By the end of that confrontation, neither Martell nor Nell looked the same. The words exchanged, and the ones left unsaid, hung heavy between them. And though they eventually walked away, the damage was done. Their bond, once based on mutual respect, now carried a shadow that wouldn't fade anytime soon. When filming wrapped, most of the cast assumed the blow-up was over. But for Martell, it was only the beginning of something deeper. Once the adrenaline wore off, his anger didn't fade, it simmered. Friends noticed the shift immediately. He wasn't just upset, he was wounded, and that pain ran far beneath the surface. Later, in a behind-the-scenes clip that didn't make the main episode, Martell opened up about what truly set him off. That's when fans began to understand. This wasn't simply about betrayal. It was about years of emotional buildup, rejection, and feeling misunderstood by the very people he trusted most. He started by describing where he's been mentally since his divorce from Melody. He said he's been working tirelessly to rebuild his reputation, not just for the cameras, but for his children and his legacy. Every move he makes, every word he says, is an effort to prove he's grown beyond the mistakes that once defined him. But no matter how much progress he makes, something always seems to pull him 2 steps back. S.O. and Nell, someone he viewed as neutral and supportive, made a choice that seemed to side with people he felt had wronged him. It struck a nerve. "You don't know what that does to me," he said quietly, staring down at the floor. When you're out here trying to change, trying to prove yourself, and then someone you think is in your corner does something like that, it's like confirmation that nobody really has your back. That confession hit home for a lot of longtime viewers. For all of Martell's confidence and bravado, fans have always seen flashes of the man behind the armor, someone struggling with loneliness, image, and redemption. He admitted that Nell's actions, though small in the grand scheme, made him feel invisible. It wasn't about the act itself, but what it represented. Another reminder that no matter what he does, people still see the old Martell. He's been fighting to be viewed as a man who's evolving, who's learned from his mistakes. But every controversy, every side-eye, every whisper seems to say otherwise. "It's like no matter what I do," he said, "people already got their minds made up. They still see the guy I used to be. And when someone I trust feeds into that, it feels like I'm fighting a losing battle." That kind of vulnerability isn't something fans see from Martell often. Behind the bravado is a man who's been publicly dissected and criticized for years. Every decision becomes a headline, every misstep a talking point. He knows he's made mistakes, but what he wants most is understanding, and moments like this make it clear just how much that matters to him. Those close to Martell say his struggle with control and pride stems from a deep fear of losing respect. That's why disloyalty, even in small doses, hits him so hard. It triggers old wounds of being misunderstood, abandoned, or made to look foolish. And this time, that wound came through someone he never expected it from. To many fans, Nell didn't mean any harm. But from Martell's perspective, it wasn't just about the single act. It was about a pattern, people promising support but making choices that undercut him. For someone trying to change his image, moments like this feel like betrayal on a deeper, more personal level. After the confrontation, Martell reportedly confided in a castmate off camera, saying, "I don't even know who I can trust anymore." That one line captured exactly where his head was. In a world of cameras, gossip, and shifting alliances, trust becomes fragile. Every friendship feels temporary, and every word can be turned against you. By the time the next group scene filmed, fans noticed the difference. Martell wasn't loud or confrontational. He was distant. His posture said more than his words. Even when others tried to lighten the mood, his energy stayed heavy. It wasn't anger anymore. It was disappointment. The kind that lingers long after the argument ends. Social media, of course, exploded that weekend. Twitter threads, Instagram lives, and TikTok edits dissected every detail of the altercation. One tweet summed it up perfectly. "Martell's pain is deeper than what we saw. He's not fighting Nell, he's fighting himself." That observation resonated with many viewers. For the first time in a long while, people weren't just criticizing Martell, they were empathizing with him. They saw the cracks beneath his confidence and the frustration of a man trying to change in a world that keeps reminding him of his past. Still, not everyone felt sympathy. Some argued that Martell needs to take accountability and learn how to manage his emotions without exploding. They pointed out that being hurt doesn't excuse public outbursts. But even those critics admitted this wasn't just about drama, it was about pain. What made this moment so powerful wasn't the shouting or the tension, it was the honesty. Martell's breakdown wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't for ratings. It was a cry from someone stuck between who he used to be and who he's trying to become. Just when fans thought things might cool off, another storm hit. A leaked conversation surfaced online, allegedly between cast members, offering a completely different version of events. It painted Martell as manipulative and controlling, sparking another wave of controversy. Here's a strong 835-word rewritten version that flows naturally like a documentary or video narration in true reality TV fashion. Martell Holt's explosive confrontation with Nell sent fans into a frenzy, and as always, the public reaction was passionate, divided, and at times, downright brutal. Within minutes of the episode airing, social media lit up with hashtags, heated debates, and endless commentary about whether Martell was justified or simply out of control. Some fans immediately rushed to his defense, arguing that after everything he's been through, the painful divorce from Melody, the public scrutiny, and the relentless criticism of his character, Martell had every right to react the way he did. Finally, someone's holding people accountable for disrespecting him, one fan tweeted. Another added, Nell crossed a line. People don't understand. For Martell, loyalty isn't optional. To these supporters, Martell's outburst wasn't about ego. It was about principle. They saw it as an expression of integrity and emotional truth, even if it came out raw and unfiltered. But not everyone agreed. Others criticized Martell for losing his cool yet again, saying the confrontation showed that despite his claims of growth and maturity, the old Martell energy still lingers. He could have handled that privately, one viewer commented. Every time he's challenged, he blows up. Another fan wrote, even when Nell tries to explain, he doesn't listen. He jumps straight to conclusions. For many critics, the issue wasn't whether Martell had a reason to be upset. It was how he chose to express it. Reality TV commentators and influencers wasted no time joining the conversation. Some analyzed Martell's behavior from a psychological perspective, suggesting that his anger may be rooted in unresolved pain and insecurities. Moments like this show how trauma doesn't disappear just because you're on TV, one analyst said. Martell reacts from his heart, not his head. Others framed the situation as a powerful reminder of boundaries, arguing that his need for respect and loyalty drives his reactions more than pride or ego. We all have breaking points, a popular YouTube host observed. Martell's just happens to play out under the spotlight. Meanwhile, Nell found herself at the center of a storm she never asked for. While she remained composed on camera, trying to de-escalate the tension, viewers couldn't agree on how much responsibility she held. Some accused her of being manipulative, of subtly provoking Martell by making choices she knew would upset him. Others came to her defense, insisting that she was simply caught in the crossfire of Martell's personal struggles. Nell didn't do anything wrong, one viewer insisted. She was being herself. Martell let his emotions run wild. Behind the cameras, the tension didn't fade overnight. Sources close to the cast revealed that Martell held private conversations with several members of the group, explaining why Nell's actions felt so personal. He emphasized that it wasn't just about one disagreement. It was about all the times he's been misjudged, betrayed, or publicly humiliated. Friends close to him say his intensity comes from a place of genuine emotion. But when the cameras are rolling, that authenticity can easily look like volatility. Producers reportedly grew concerned about the fallout. Drama fuels reality television, but there's always a fine line between what makes for good television and what causes real emotional harm. According to insiders, multiple meetings were held off-camera to ensure that tensions could be resolved before filming resumed. Martell's representatives even encouraged him to take a short break, advising him to reflect before speaking publicly about the confrontation. They wanted to prevent a temporary argument from turning into an irreversible rift. Ironically, the blow-up that nearly fractured relationships ended up boosting the show's popularity. Ratings spiked immediately after the episode aired. Social media hashtags related to Martell and Nell trended nationwide, and within hours, fan pages were dissecting every second of footage, analyzing tone, gestures, and body language like a courtroom case. Memes flooded timelines, reaction videos went viral, and love and marriage. Huntsville suddenly had one of its most talked about moments in recent memory, yet beyond the noise, Martell reportedly began reflecting privately. Those close to him say he acknowledged that while his emotions were valid, his delivery might have overshadowed his message. In one candid conversation, Martell admitted, "I know I could have handled it differently, but I can't ignore how I feel. My feelings are valid. I just have to express them better." That kind of honesty marked a small but significant shift in his mindset. In the episodes that followed, viewers noticed a more measured side of Martell. He still spoke his mind, but with more restraint. Insiders say he's been working on responding rather than reacting, trying to balance emotion with composure, especially knowing that every word he says will be dissected online. It's a balancing act he's still learning, but one that's slowly reshaping how fans see him. The ripple effects didn't stop with Martell and Nell. Cast dynamics shifted dramatically. Longtime alliances were tested, and neutral parties suddenly found themselves choosing sides. For some, the confrontation exposed hidden loyalties. For others, it became a turning point in how they approached their own relationships on the show. Many believe the fallout will continue shaping the season, sparking new conflicts, emotional revelations, and possibly even reconciliations. Then, just when fans thought the dust had settled, a leaked behind-the-scenes clip surfaced online. In it, Martell opened up like never before, talking about his family, his struggles, and how moments like this take a toll on him beyond the cameras. The clip went viral almost instantly, giving viewers a glimpse into a more vulnerable side of Martell. It reminded everyone that beneath the bravado and television drama lies a man still trying to balance pain, pride, and personal growth. And that, perhaps, is why Martell Holt remains one of the most fascinating and polarizing figures in reality television today.